hear you. Can you do a test for us, please?
Don't let me get out of order then.
I'll keep you in order, Madam. So we're ready here. Okay. Thank you all for your patience. I call to order this February 20, 2024 hybrid meeting of the Board of Finance to order. The first Board of Finance meeting of 2024. Commissioner Quesada will be remote and will appear via Zoom. First, I move the approval of the November 14th, 2023 Board of Finance meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we will be doing roll call votes.
Commissioner Quesada?
Aye.
Excuse me, Commissioner Barboa?
Yes.
Commissioner Benson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Olivas?
Yes.
Madam Chair Barboa?
Baca. Yes.
Baca. Sorry. I looked straight at you, too.
And now we have a presentation. Madam Treasurer, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Board of Finance. It's good to see you all again in a new year. And I'm going to go ahead and present the quarterly findings from December 31st, 2023. Just for the record, I am Nancy Burse and I am the County Treasurer. All right, are we ready? And I think also on the line is our investment advisors, government portfolio advisors, Deanne and Mitch. Do you want to take a minute, Deanne, and introduce Mitch?
Yes, good afternoon, members of the commission. This is Deanne Woodring, President of Government Portfolio Advisors, and I'd like to also introduce Mitch, which I don't think he has access in here now that I'm looking at it. But Mitch Henke just joined us as our Chief Operating Officer and comes to us with 14 years of experience in the industry. So we're excited to have him with us and serving the county.
Thank you. Moving to the agenda, you can see the agenda that is for the presentation. And I'll move right into, I lost it. Right into, good, page 1, the property tax collections as of December 31st. As you know, first half collections is done November through December. So as we look at 2023, we were charged with collecting just over $869 million from the assessor, and we collected in first half $491,518,821. And left uncollected is just about $400 million there. And that's, of course, very typical. This is only the first half. So we're always happy to see that we get over 50% because there are folks that pay for the whole year in one wallop, and that's fantastic. So, and that includes also, don't forget, we collect for all the entities, the public entities that are taxing. So that includes what we collected for them, the $491 million. The next page talks about what percentage is that, and for the tax roll, how it looks in 10 years. So that was over 50%, 56.54%. So we did get over 50%. When you look at the other years in the tax roll, you see that we're very good at collecting. All of those percentages are over 99%. The lowest, of course, is 99.31. That was in 2021 during COVID. So that's still pretty darn good. Next slide just talks about the operations, the back end of collecting that amount of money. So when you look at it for that quarter, October, November, December, you have the call volume, which is very high. 11,000 calls were taken during that quarter. I do have it broken out by month if you'd like it, but just as an example, October was 1,300, November jumped to over 5,000 calls came in. So you can see we do a little bit of work there. Walk-ins are also captured because of our system Envoy that we have here at the building, and we had 6,800 walk-ins for that quarter. So pretty big jump there. As we look at the delinquent accounts, we're still collecting delinquents. So for the quarter, we collected $13,628,000 and some $6. So that's still fantastic, though, for 3 months. The monthly payment plan, just to let you know that we have increased that amount. So it's about $200 a year that we pick up in that plan. It's a free plan. You don't have a mortgage. You don't have any delinquencies. They are paying on their own. So breaking it out is really a good idea for those on a fixed income, those that are elderly. They just need another mechanism, and we provide that for them. So that was almost 4,500 properties. So it's going gangbusters. Also, payment channels about how we get the money, what people are using to see what they like using, what they don't like. You can see the majority, that 115,000, is mortgage company files. Most of us have mortgages. Most of us pay our taxes and insurance through that mortgage. In person and mail, 87,000, and then online, which is creeping up, I'd say, 35,000. So people are taking advantage of that online. They like it. The next one is our pie, just breaking out when we give that money out to the entities, what's their percentage. And of course, that's all told to us by the Department of Finance and Administration with the state. But that's what it looks like there, with education being the largest chunk at 34%, the county 22%, as well as the city and villages at 22%. Then we jump to the health, which is 15%, which is solely UNM Hospital. Also, the other little slivers, the environment, which includes AMAFCA, Thank you. I was going to say Eastwood, and I knew it wasn't Eastwood. Thank you, Commissioner. And then also the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District at 4%. Then the state, and the state does take out bonds for the things they need to spend money on, so they get 3%. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Ryan Travelstead. He's going to talk to you about the other interesting stuff we have. Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Finance, my name is Ryan Travelstead. I'm Deputy Treasurer under Treasurer Burse. Pleasure to be here. I'll run through a couple of quick slides of some historical information over the last quarter, portfolio holdings, investment income, and then I'll turn it over to the county's investment advisors to talk about the forward-looking strategy that will be before you tonight. Starting off here with the gross receipts tax, I like to show this. Commissioner Olivas asked us to include the gross receipts tax information a few meetings ago, and so we're going to continue with that trend so you can kind of see the trending, how gross receipts tax is coming in. The orange line on top is the current fiscal year, so you can see it's still coming in higher than the previous years, which is a good thing. Jump over to the next slide, shows how that compares with what we have budgeted as a county. So this second row here is the gross receipts tax. And you can see we're about 51% of what we have budgeted has actually come in. So right on track there. That first line there, property tax, shows that we're about 61% collected, which is pretty normal. It might be a little bit higher than normal. Yeah, kind of, you would think, why isn't it at 50%? But some people pay their full year property taxes in November and December time period, so that'll bump that up a little bit. But I think there is some we'll probably, I'm imagining that we're going to be a bit over budget on the property tax line item, which is a good thing. We're going to be collecting more than what we have budgeted, so it's just something for consideration there. Next slide here, it talks about our bank balances and the associated collateral to pledge to secure those balances. The first line item there is the Bernalillo County accounts at Wells Fargo Bank. The uninsured balance as of December 31st was around $23 million. State statute requires 50% of that balance to be pledged as collateral. At December 31st, we actually had 454% of that pledged with the bank. It's a little atypical to see why such a large number. Well, December, we have those really large balances coming in for property tax collections. And so in the meantime, when they come into the county's bank account, and before we go out and invest those, they'll sit in that bank account for 1 or 2 days, and then Wells Fargo will pledge collateral for those balances for that short time period. So again, this is just a snapshot as of December 31st. If we look at it now, that's dropped back down closer to that 50% line. So either way, this is still a good thing. That means that in the event that Wells Fargo was to go out of business, we had $23 million that would essentially disappear, but we would get custody of those securities that's pledged as collateral so that we can recoup the balances. Again, not really on the radar as a risk, but it's definitely a potential risk. Moving down, we have the Bernalillo County Affordable Housing Nonprofit. Their uninsured balance is $1.3 million. They were 100% collateralized. And then we have $10 million in repurchase agreements with the Bank of America. These are really old, I think from the late 90s, some debt service reserves that were put in place. And so these investments were entered into in the late 90s, and that's essentially the interest that's earned on those investments is used to pay the debt associated with that. Next slide, we'll talk about our portfolio balances as a high level. So as of December 31st, we had $5.5 million in the county's bank account. So essentially that's what we think is going to be going out in the next 5 to 7 days. So yeah, again, this is a snapshot as of December 31st. The next bucket down is the highly liquid with $99 million. So essentially the way this will work is as the bank account gets closer to zero and new bills come up, we'll withdraw some money from that highly liquid bucket to transfer into the bank account to then fund those outflows. Moving our way down, we see the cash matched at $456 million. Inside that $456 million is around $240 million of property taxes that we collected on other entities' behalfs that we then distributed in January. So that's just like a kind of an artificially high number for this particular time period. And then our core portfolio, we have $445 million. And then moving down to the bond proceeds portfolio, just a little under $30 million in par amount. And if you see here on the far right side, you see the corresponding yields associated with those investment portfolios. And I'll get to the investment income slide here in just a little bit, but those are very attractive yields. Next slides will kind of detail the underlying holdings of each individual portfolio. I can just skim through these. We have the highly liquid, shows that this is all highly liquid money. It's easily accessible same day. So as of December 31st, we had $99 million. In our cash match portfolio, you can see that large chunk in less than 30 days of that 387. Remember, that includes that $240 million that matured that we then paid on January 20th that we distribute out to all the other tax collecting entities that we collect on their behalf. And then the underlying detail here in the core portfolio and how that's spread out over the different maturity buckets and investment types. And then finally, the bond proceeds detail. And finally, just a graphical representation of where the maturities lie across all of those portfolios. So you can see around $506 million is going to mature in less than 30 days, 192 in between 30 days and a year. So again, that 506 million includes that 240 that went out in mid-January. And then finally, the net investment income by quarter. You see for this fiscal year in the first half, we've earned $15.3 million in investment income, which is really great. Kind of love to say it's everything that, solely attributed to what we've done, but it's actually not. We're kind of in an advantageous position to take advantage of interest rates that the Federal Reserve has been increasing. So general consensus is there may be some rate cuts during the middle to late part of this year. So we're going to keep an eye on that to see how that might impact investment earnings. But yeah, something that we're regularly watching. And so with this, I will turn it over to Deanne with the Government Portfolio Advisors. And Deanne, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great, take it away. We're on the first slide, the quarterly portfolio review.
Madam Chair and members of the board, it's nice to be in front of you today. So we have some good results to provide you and update you with. The key is looking at the change. So this is a quarterly report that shows last quarter versus this quarter. And we ended this quarter at a 446 earnings rate. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen that type of rate in the county portfolio for quite some time. A lot of the increase was driven from that deployment of the assets in the cash matched account, which you can see we got that to work as you receive those taxes in, and then in January, the turnover occurred. So the portfolio and the earnings benefited greatly from that. Additionally, our real focus is on this investment core and continue to take investments that are maturing and deploying new dollars to that portfolio to anchor that down for the long run. We've come up into historical high rates here and remain high based on a historical basis. So we're trying to provide an anchor on the portfolio. So when interest rates do come back down, we have a solid base in the portfolio. We reached 440 at year end. We did deploy another 45 million in January after your turnover occurred. So we're right at target where we want to be. Additionally, I want to point out that the duration of the overall portfolio remains right around 1 year. So that's right where we want to be as well. So everything is lined up and we're on target. The real fun part about year end is we had a very big drop in interest rates going into year end. And you'll notice that your net unrealized losses declined from 12 million in September to only 4 million in December. Rates have come back up since then, but we continue to keep our eye on that. And as we're investing in these higher rates, that should continue to decrease going forward. Next slide, please. So we continue to recommend, we have the changes from last quarter to this quarter, and your highly liquid target is 45 to 70 million, the cash match 20 million to 300 million, and the core 400 to 550 million. We continue to work within those profiles. When we saw your highly liquid go above that 70 million max, that provided us the opportunity to go ahead and deploy and invest some of those funds, both into the core fund as well as the cash match fund. So everything's on target and our durations remain right where we want them. Next slide, please. This is giving you a picture of the allocation of the investment component. So GPA is very strategic in our recommendations to asset allocation choices. We ended the year at 52% in agency securities, 39% in treasuries. We're having a hard time finding valuable municipal bonds, New Mexico municipal bonds that are taxable, that provide value. So we do not have any of those in the portfolio at this time. And then we have about 8% in the supranational market. So again, we have our tactical plan and our strategic targets, and we're right on target where we want to be. Additionally, we're very focused on the maturity buckets, which is down in that lower part where the duration of the portfolio matches that benchmark. We ended the year at 204. A duration relative to the index at two years. So again, right on target, right where we want to be. So as we deployed new money into the portfolio, we put maturities in the various buckets to maintain the duration target of 2 years. Next slide, please. So going forward, we're recommending for the board and for the board approval today to continue on those strategies. We've listed out the maturities that are occurring. You have 47.5 maturing in the core investment portfolio between February 14th and May 16th. We're recommending to align that, continue to invest that to the 0 to 5 benchmark. And then the cash match, most of those funds are being used for dedicated cash flows. So that is allowing us to reduce that liquidity balance. So we're working very closely with Ryan when that money comes due that you need it. And that's working very well. So those are the up and coming maturities. If we do see excess balances increase in liquidity, we'll deploy that back into the markets. The bond proceed portfolio, we just did it completed. I was on site there. We did an educational meeting. I thought that meeting worked out really well with the full team there. I really like to engage all members of the finance team in why we're looking at these different buckets. And so we got some good input from the bond proceed and the finance manager's input. The money market fund is being spent down on upcoming capital, and I feel like the portfolio is pretty well structured. You are coming up with a new bond issue, which once the cash flows are dedicated, we will be given directions on how to invest that portfolio. And that is really it. So basically for approval, we're looking to maintain the strategy of the cash match, knowing that we have those expenses matched is really providing great confidence within the treasurer's office that we know that we have the funds available, but they're also invested at a very attractive rate. For the core fund, we pretty much have that at the close to the maximum right now. So we can go up another 50 million, but we'll probably hold and let the balances roll through within the portfolio, and we'll reinvest maturities as they are to the target benchmark. And then for the bond proceeds, we're waiting for direction for the additional investments. And once we receive those, we will proceed with those maturity investments. So I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions, commissioners? Commissioner Barboa has a question.
Thank you so much. I always love learning about this stuff. During this presentation, at one point you talked about having a solid base in the portfolio as rates go down. What does that mean? What does it mean to create a solid base in the portfolio?
It means that we're trying by investing out on the longer part of the curve between 0 and 5 years, we're buying longer investments in the 3 and 4 year area at over 4%. So able to lock those down, and literally means locking them down for 4 years as interest rates start to decline again in that front end. And we expect them to come down 3.5% to 3% over the next 2 years. You'll still be earning that 4%. So that's where that long-term strategy really helps us to not outthink ourselves and just maintain a consistent investment strategy that will anchor your earnings over that interest rate cycle.
Thank you.
Commissioner Olivas has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Treasurer, for the great report. I just have one question, and it may not necessarily be for you, but one of the things that I was watching in the legislative session was the removal of some of the GRT fees at the state level, and I'm just kind of wondering how that will potentially impact the county. I don't know if you have any comment, or DCM Reagan.
Treasurer, is that for me or is that?
Deanne, I think
I can answer.
I think DCM Reagan will address that one.
Okay.
So there was some legislation, we're charged a 3% administrative fee for the state to collect and disperse our gross receipts tax. So there's a legislation in there, and it made it to the governor's desk. If it is approved, we would get that revenue. They would no longer charge the fee, but it wouldn't be effective until July 1 of 2025, which would be for fiscal 26. And for us, across all funds, it's about $7 million.
Great. Hope the governor signs it.
Thank you. Treasurer Burrs.
Okay, and I'll continue along with the presentation. And that's the other office news. And one of the things that Ryan didn't tell you and didn't bring out to you was on slide 8, the portfolio balances. He said he didn't want to steal my thunder, but really I think it's all of our thunder. If you look at that slide for the portfolio balances, you look at that total number, which, as you recall, we report in millions. So when you have what looks like $1,035 listed, you multiply that by a million. We hit the $1 billion mark December 31st. So we've never hit that before in Bernalillo County. And as far as I know, no other county has ever hit the $1 billion mark in their portfolio and the money that all the county treasurers are in charge of. So thank you for your stewardship in following our strategy that we recommend, because it certainly has been dynamic. You know, when you all started, including Commissioner Benson, we had a lot of money stashed in the bank, and we couldn't do a thing with it because rates were so low. And we had COVID, and the Fed was going, oh no, what are we going to do? And we were going, well, what are we going to do? There was actually, I was a treasurer's affiliate at the time, there was actually a county treasurer that was paying a bank to keep her money. It was in the negatives. And she walked right down, she pulled it all out and said, you're no good to me. I can put it in my vault and get as much money as you're giving me. So it was, when we think about what went on 6-7 years ago, it's amazing now. And I think the steady path that we're on, kudos to you, kudos to our investment advisors, and that we are accountable. And I think it really shows the taxpayers that we're with them. Their money matters, and we treat it as such. So thank you all very much, and I'll keep going. Internal operations. The investment procedures were approved. Of course, we did policy in August, and that means we have to redo any of our procedures, and they're done, and they've been approved by County Manager Baca as well as DCM Reagan. So that was good. What else did we have? Let me turn to my cheat sheet. I apologize. Our tax collections you saw, but what you didn't see was behind the scenes. We had found out that one of our vendors actually had a different module. They already had it. We didn't buy it at the time that they were a vendor and won the RFP, but we were really having trouble with our lockbox. And they had changed systems and it just wasn't working for us. So when we asked our existing vendors, they came up and said, well, yeah, I've got this module that does batch pay, which is like what the lockbox does. And so what happened was we went ahead and bought it. We already had their other software installed, so it was, I'll say this casually, it was a no-brainer, right, Ryan? And so we tested it in April, in the second half of 2022, so that the first half was the real test. And we did so fantastically, and these people behind me did, that we went from processing 30,000 that usually come through a lockbox to the 80,000 payments. And because we bought that module and we did away with our lockbox vendor, we saved $10,000. Yay! So, yeah, when you go in-house, there's a lot of things that can be done, and we're very proud of that. Also is community outreach and festivals. Most of my outreach was already done in November, some in December, and I think it was 8 community centers, but I had about 4 other outreaches that occurred. This coming time, we're getting ready for South Valley Pride Day. We're getting ready for next month is our Government Investment Officers Association, and that's where we'll be recognized for getting that award for our investment policy accreditation. So that should be exciting. The other thing that I've wanted to go to for a long time and talked with Senator Kent Cravens, is GAR, which stands for Greater Albuquerque Association of Realtors, and talk to them about our office and what we do. We put in a new public access search software because we're now in the cloud. And we're going to show them that module, run it through, see how they like it, see what their suggestions are, and also provide them with some cheat sheet material and stuff because it's not always intuitive on this search feature. So we're gonna do that. And that gets us to new staff. You see more faces behind me. So, of course, as I always do, if you're new or if you get promoted to being a manager, you get to come to a Board of Finance meeting. So, so let me introduce some folks here. I'm just going to go down my list. Tiffany Stevens. She's my new administrative assistant, as well as picking up the pieces of outreach and communications. So she's done a great job. Robert Dean. Robert is coming on board as an IT business liaison. So we're glad to have him.
You take them from us?
Yes.
Just a little. No, he
Stolen.
stays with
Stolen.
us. We're us, right? The bigger us. So yeah, that was a good catch. Bryce Maddox in the accounting department. Let's see, let me keep going. Randolph Dubois Teta. There you go. In customer service, as well as Yenny Castro Luna. And then we have Dion Mattis, I'm sorry, can't read either, who's been promoted from cashiering team lead up to special accounts. So it's wonderful. Did I miss anybody? And my managers are here as well because they have to come.
Welcome, welcome.
All right, thank you. The last thing on the on the news is what we call digital wallets. We experienced this first half digital wallets, and they were a mess. But what they are third-party online bill payment companies. They are not affiliated with us. However, we have found that these companies have created a page on their website by taking our logo, taking all the information on our website and putting it on their page for us and their customers. It's just, I can't call it fraud because they do say in really small print, we are not affiliated with Bernalillo County, but it's like font size 2. And they're also doing it nationwide. They're also doing it just in our community. I called some treasurers. The water authorities had trouble with it starting last year. P&M, New Mexico Gas, some other utility and public entities are having trouble with this. And the problem is it isn't affiliated with us. You pay for it, and we don't have any control. There's no controls over it as far as where they send it, when they send it. So people are getting, especially the utilities, are getting their payments late. We got payments late. And if you're late, you pay the fees. But they're like, no, I sent it, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's your problem with that company. And that's hard to say to somebody when they're sending in money. So we've worked with legal, and we are just about 3/4 of the way through putting up a warning on our website and releasing a news release on it, because it really is awful. They're not credible like PayPal. They're the ones on the dark side. So I want to bring that to your attention, and you'll probably be seeing it next week or so. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. The
Madam
rest,
Treasurer, we have one question for you.
yes, I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Balboa.
I just, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Treasurer. That's a little alarming. I'm the type of person, especially if I saw the county logo, I would totally just click on it, not read the fine print and believe that it's true because the county logo is there. Isn't there a way we can at least ask them to remove that logo?
That's probably a question for our legal department.
That's a great point, and we'll look into it right away. I know politically you can require them to remove a logo.
Yeah.
It cannot be used, but on this, it would probably be under trademark, but we'll look at it right away. And we do have a trademark going on that, so.
Yeah. We have such a good reputation thanks to all y'all's work. I would just trust the county logo and click on that, so, yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, they're doing the same thing with taking P&M's logo, the water bill logo. New Mexico Gas is another one. They're hitting all the utilities, which of course is what people have to pay. So they're kind of in a strange position. But definitely, if you're paying for online, don't do that. Ours is free. You already pay taxes. Come to our website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No? And then you have your appendix, which has all of our performance measures and our tax maintenance report. So that's something you can read or, share with your constituents as well.
Great.
But other than that, I think we can move to the next agenda item.
Please do.
Next agenda item is to support our investment strategy that our GPA talked about, which is maintaining what we're doing. It seems it is working until the Fed changes their decision making. So we stand for any questions on that you may have.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a
Commissioner
motion
Woods.
to adopt the suggested strategy.
Second?
Madam
Great.
Chair,
Yes, discussion. It's been moved and seconded.
thank you. Just one comment. The investment firm mentioned that even when the Fed does change their rates, which it's speculation at this point, they may or may not, but when they do, at some point they will, our laddered approach will offer stability. So it's not like it'll be a game changer because the game has already been changed under your direction. So it's going great, and I think we should keep going with it.
Thank you so much, Madam
Thank you.
Chair, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer, and I will call the vote. Also, thank you, and thank you all staff for being here and for the great work that you do for us. So I will call a roll call vote.
Commissioner Casada,
Aye.
Commissioner Barboa,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Olivas.
Yes.
Madam Chair Baca,
Yes,
so called.
thank you all very much.
Madam Chair, may I ask for a just a
One,
comment real
one
quick?
quick, yes.
Yeah,
please.
I just wanted to congratulate, you talked about meeting that 1 billion mark and all the work that all of you do. Welcome to the new folks and just thank you so much. I feel your department deserves a round of applause.
Thank you. Yes, I do.
Yes, thank you for that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, the next order of business is announcement of the next Board of Finance meeting, which will be Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, here in the Commission chambers at 4 p.m. And if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.